Russian Su-34 made an emergency belly landing after its landing gear failed to deploy. The crew jettisoned the navigator's canopy mid-flight for a potential escape. During the landing, the plane's left engine was also torn off. After this landing, the Russian fighter jet will be sent for long-term repairs. The landing gear of the Su-34 is an important part of the structure that ensures the takeoff, landing, and movement of the aircraft on the ground. The Su-34 has a tricycle-type landing gear with a retractable nose strut. This design provides the aircraft with good maneuverability on the ground and stability during takeoff and landing. The Su-34 landing gear has a reinforced design that allows the aircraft to take off and land on unprepared runways, including unpaved airfields. This time, however, the landing gear on the aircraft suffered an unknown failure, leading to a difficult landing and extensive damage. Before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Russia had 110 of these fighters in service. Over the course of the full-scale war in Ukraine, the Russian Air Force lost approximately 25 Su-34s. Some losses may be classified by the Russian authorities. However, Russia continues to produce them. It produces 10 to 12 aircraft a year, about one per month. Ukraine has shot down Su-34 aircraft with various air defense systems, both Soviet and Western in origin. The Ukrainian Defense Forces also struck at Russian military airfields, where they managed to destroy Su-34s.
Вот я же говорю, сбрасывается все. Да я говорю, что сбрасывается. Да, фонарь сбросил. Чтобы потом вылезти оттуда, когда он сядет.
Russian fighters were wandering through a Ukrainian field like it's a fucking picnic, when suddenly 4 of these geniuses stepped on an engineered explosive and decided to take a nap. They got fucked up bad. The commander probably called for help on the radio, but it seems like their Russian pals weren't exactly sprinting to the rescue. We don't abandon our own.
Ебать, его урок сказал же не трогайте. Это золотой дурак, блядь.
In the Ivanovo region of Russia, unidentified people are kidnapping men and forcing them to sign a contract to participate in the war against Ukraine. This was reported by the Russian publication Verstka. According to the publication, the disappearances in this region began in the fall of 2024, and today their number has reached 6 people. The disappeared lived in poverty, abused alcohol, were interrupted by casual earnings, and had health problems. According to local residents, both the local authorities and the relevant security agencies are involved in the abductions, which are trying to forcibly take people to war and use them in mass assaults on Ukrainian positions. The disappearances of all 6 men have a similar scenario. They found part-time work, unknown people came to see them, and then they disappeared. At the same time, according to relatives, accounts were subsequently opened in the name of the disappeared men in Pромsvязьбанк. In December 2024, several men disappeared in the village of Nikonika, the Ivanovo region, and were later linked to forced conscription. Maxim Andreevsky, a 46-year-old man with health problems, was abducted by unidentified persons who looked like police officers while he was shoveling snow. His passport was taken by law enforcement, and his fate remains unknown. Also, 39-year-old Oleksandr Savaliev, who did not have a permanent job, was taken away by the same people. His mother appealed to the police, but they refused to help. Both men were considered dysfunctional, which was a common feature of the disappeared. Local residents and activists suspect that the administration of the PAR settlement is involved in compiling lists of such persons for abduction. It should be noted that similar treatment of people can be traced in the Russian army both in general and on the front line, where, according to them, soldiers are kept like cattle and in terrible conditions. In addition, Soldiers who are not discharged due to the loss of limbs are sent back to the front lines on crutches. For example, in February 2025, there was a case when Russian commanders sent 2 infantrymen to assault Ukrainian positions in the Pokrovsk sector, one on crutches and the other who could not walk. Following the publication of information in the media that Elon Musk was to hear top-secret military plans for a war with China, the briefing was canceled. This was reported by the New York Times. According to the publication, on March 21st, the Pentagon was to hold a briefing for Musk on a classified plan for war with China. The meeting was planned in a secure conference room called the Tank, which usually hosts high-level military briefings with the Joint Chiefs of Staff or senior commanders. The idea that a civilian like Elon Musk, who is not part of the chain of command, would receive any briefing in the Tank, let alone on highly sensitive military plans for China, was certainly unusual, and it raised concerns among some people, the publication noted. At the same time, U.S. President Donald Trump denied that such a briefing had been planned at all. However, he also made it clear that, in his opinion, Musk should not have access to such military plans, in particular because he does business in China. Nevertheless, the New York Times insists that the briefing was indeed planned. The publication cites not only the words of several of its own sources, but also the fact that the meeting was to take place in a secure room, and the main speaker was to be 4-star Admiral Samuel Paparo, responsible for the Indo-Pacific region. According to the publication's Pentagon correspondent, Musk arrived at the meeting as scheduled on March 22nd at 9 a.m. He went to the office of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth for a scheduled 30-minute meeting. There was also an announcement of an intention to hold a briefing at the Tank at 9:30, but it was postponed first to 9:45 and then to 10 o'clock. The correspondent noticed high-ranking military officials moving between Hegseth's office and the Tank. However, shortly after 10 o'clock, all the assistants at the Tank dispersed, and journalists were told that the briefing would not take place there. Reportedly, journalists tried to ask Elon Musk questions as he was leaving, but he ignored them. Later, President Trump appeared in his office with Hegseth and again told reporters that this story is not true. During a press release, Trump made it clear that he was not aware of the briefing offered to Musk. He noted that he had called his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and Hegseth to ask about the reports when he learned of them. As a reminder, it has recently become known that there are plans to significantly reduce the number of the high-ranking officers of the U.S. Armed Forces amid the Trump administration's efforts to reduce federal spending.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.